How are you doing, everyone? I hope you've had a great day, because today, I'm really lazy, and I thought I would make fun of someone that doesn't require much brain power to even criticize at all in the slightest. As I'm sure we all know, it's Harmon Smith. There's no real hiding it, as he's the only Nintendo fanboy that anyone really ever covers, but I thought I would criticize him today because he's made an exceptionally bad take. But when does he not do that? It's pretty much common for him to make very terrible takes, but this one, it's just truly special. Like, he genuinely believes Xbox is going to leave the gaming industry. If Xbox was going to leave the gaming industry, why are they putting so much money down on acquisitions like Activision Blizzard and further cementing their spot in the gaming industry? It does not make any sense. But as I'm sure we all know, any argument Harmon has never really does make any sense, so let's just get on with the video.
Is it time for us to admit that Xbox is done? Like every time I see people talk about Xbox, it's always some big thing like, "Aha, Game Pass is such a good deal, guys," or like, they're on PC, so they can't possibly fail.
Yes, Harmon, Game Pass is a good deal, and we've established this many times over and over again. It's a good deal. Whether or not you're purchasing it now or later down the line when they add Call of Duties to it and do whatever else they want to add to it, it's usually a pretty good deal. And yes, Harmon, Xbox and Microsoft as a whole are too big to fail. They're a multi-trillion-dollar company, and somehow they're third place. We'll never understand that logic. I kinda just want to add this as I think it makes a bit of sense in my mind, is that I feel like Microsoft is just playing the long game. They want to wait for their competitors to fall apart and fail at their lowest point so they can pick up and then become the person on top. That's what I genuinely believe they would do. That's what I would do in a situation if I was running a business like that. Or a company, I don't fucking care, whatever you want to word it.
Meanwhile, Game Pass subscriptions are not going up. They've been stuck at 25 million for a long time now. Hardware sales are flatlining, and the PC sales aren't doing all that hot either, right? The first party sales have tanked. There's really nothing in the foreseeable future to look forward from Xbox.
There's clearly nothing to look forward to as an Xbox player, not like there is Avowed, Hellblade, Project Tatanka, hopefully that comes out next year. Hopefully the Gears of War collection, fingers crossed. Those are just some of the things I could list. There are probably more that I can't think of off the top of my head that I can probably give you. Which, I was correct, I did forget a game. That is Fable, and that is coming out in late 2024. And who knows if that game will even be good. But since Game Pass is stagnant and console sales are down, I would not disagree with you that Xbox as a whole is declining. But I don't think they're going to leave the industry anytime soon with how much they've invested into it. It would be dumb for them to do that, as they would not see a return. All Xbox really needs to do is get their thumb out of their ass and actually start producing some high quality games that have a very strict focus. Because Xbox takes such an offhand approach of development, it leads to developers coming up with all these ideas and not actually focusing on the ideas that actually matter. If they just did that and said, okay, focus on this, you have 5 years, it would be perfect. That is all they need to do. Put the whip on these developers and say, hey, do your job. That's all that Xbox needs to do, and they would be perfect. Because Xbox's weakest link within everything that they have has to be their games. If they are just to fix that, it would be perfect. It would fix most of their problems that they have, and would actually incentivize a purchase of their console, or actually using PC Game Pass. Either way, it would make their lives a lot easier.
And when you really look at like the long and short of things, when you look at how like the competition has caught up to Xbox when it comes to like its online play and its features and stuff like that, like when you really look at like the grand scheme of things, like Xbox is a declining brand. And I've been saying this for a long time, right? This has been true forever. But it really does kind of feel that we're in like that stage where Xbox is going to leave the console industry fairly soon, hopefully within the next decade.
I'm gonna have to press X to doubt. I do not believe Phil Spencer, as well as Microsoft and Xbox as a whole, will leave the gaming industry. They have way too much in it, even with what they said about wanting to leave if they don't reach a certain amount of Game Pass subscribers by a certain year. I don't believe they'll do it. They've got way too much of an investment into this. It would be fucking stupid of them to do that. And even then, I would be scared to see who would take their place. But I do think it's more plausible that they will actually stop manufacturing consoles and just become a publisher. I think that is way more likely and way more plausible than anything else of them actually leaving the gaming industry.
Right? If the numbers I've seen in regards to like the sales of the Series X are any indication, okay, let's be real here. It's weird to even admit that there's a new Xbox on the market. Like, how many people do you know who even know the Series X even exists?
Harmon, do you live under a rock? Like, there is no way you just said that. I've met people over 70 years old that can tell the difference between an Xbox One X and a Series X and an S. Old people know what that shit is. They can tell the difference. Either you just live under a rock and are some like the most like special fucking mindset I've ever seen, because I know you know what it is. I know you know everyone else around you knows what it is. They can tell the difference. That's the most dumbest thing I've ever heard someone bring up, saying that no one knows it. Xbox isn't obscure. Everyone knows Xbox. Everyone knows what the new console is.
Right? Like, I own an Xbox One. I have no desire to upgrade. I have no desire to do anything. I have no desire to get one. Like, I haven't even considered it. Why? Because I'm so disappointed with my Xbox One in general. Like, I had everything I wanted from it, which is basically like original Xbox emulation of stuff like Ninja Gaiden Black.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did Harmon say that he got a console for emulation? The same guy that says emulation is piracy and that anyone that emulates should get prison time and should do anything else that actually do with anything to do with emulators, and yet he uses them? I think something is wrong. Harmon, this isn't you. You would never emulate stuff because that's bad. Emulation is bad for the gaming industry, Harmon, or you can't be using it. Did a skinwalker steal your skin? I mean, who the fuck would want to be you, honestly? That seems kind of depressing.
And the Dead or Alive games, which are undoubtedly fun. Like, I like them a lot. Like, I got a lot of mileage out of my Xbox One. I certainly don't regret purchasing it, but at the same time, it isn't a good platform, right? Like, I am completely disillusioned with the brand, with how they've treated their classic video game franchises, how they dealt with Halo, Gears of War, Rareware.
Sadly, I have to agree somewhat with Harmon that Xbox's handling of its IPs, they've just genuinely fumbled the bag. There's no way around it. The Xbox One generation didn't really have the best start, and I don't know, it kind of got better through the mid part to the end. But honestly, I think we could ask for a lot more from Xbox. I know I've said it many times, but, I gotta add my point again somewhere.
Like, really, like, I bought an Xbox expecting there to be like a bunch of like new Rareware games for me to play, and then I realized that like over the past 20 years, Microsoft has done jack and shit with the brand.
Isn't Rare's last game Sea of Thieves in 2018? I mean, shit, Harmon, you've got Rare Replay right there that has remastered versions of most of the games that you probably want to play. I would go pick them up. Rare Replay goes hard. Grab it, Harmon. I know you want it, but at the same time, you don't really like emulators, so I probably wouldn't touch it.
Right? It's so weird to talk about, but it is true. Like, I was expecting to find so many good things on Xbox, and there's really nothing there. Halo's irrelevant, Gears of War is irrelevant, Rareware is irrelevant, right? They're talking about like bringing Perfect Dark back, like that's not gonna happen. Like, what? Like, everybody is just
I really do have to wonder, if you keep Nintendo to this exact same standard, is it just because Xbox has so many so-called irrelevant franchises when Halo's just been going up recently? I would not say Halo Infinite or Halo was a franchise. Right now is irrelevant. Sea of Thieves, to my knowledge, is still performing quite well. We haven't heard anything about the Perfect Dark remake. I think that'd be pretty cool to come back. But I really want to ask myself, would you keep Nintendo to this exact same standard that you're giving Xbox? Because we all know you wouldn't. And I have to wonder to myself, are you comparing the peak of these franchises to the games that they have now? I mean, no one talks about Gears of War anymore. We're all waiting for that collection or Gears of War 6. God knows when that's coming out. Comparing Halo to Infinite to fucking Halo 3? No shit, it's not going to compare well. Halo Infinite was shit on launch, and it's only finally now getting really good. And no shit, it's gonna look terrible compared to its fucking peak, if that's how you're comparing it. Like, it really would just help if you gave us a bit more context on how you're comparing these games. It would make it so much easier for us to actually properly criticize you than just take fucking shots into the dark and how you're thinking. But then again, this is what you get for not scripting your videos or actually thinking about what you say.
just in denial about what's happening here. That the brand has flatlined. It's done. Right? It's never going to recover. It's never going to be big again. I think there's going to be like one last big hurrah when like GTA 6 comes out and people like get on that, but I expect most people are just going to buy it on PlayStation and PC, right? Like, I don't think there's really that much demand for an Xbox like from anyone, right? They haven't innovated enough. They haven't done anything.
So you're telling me Xbox hasn't innovated? They've refined many things. They've changed to a subscription service that is more appealing to a lot more people than just a console, because consoles eventually are just going to disappear completely. I genuinely only think that there are going to be probably 2 more generations of consoles left before we start going into complete streaming services, more than anything, as it's probably going to be a much cheaper alternative for those companies. And I just find it really funny that you say that Xbox hasn't innovated, then you look at Nintendo that hasn't released their new Switch, like, come on, you could at least innovate on something that you've done so good on. It would make you so much more money. We need a new Nintendo Switch.
They haven't done anything with hardware. They don't know how to make the Xbox brand appealing. They only ever were relevant because of their online features. Like, and now that they don't have that edge anymore, there's nothing more they can do. All they can do is just stagnate, and they're stagnating so much that I really don't expect that anybody like is buying an Xbox right
I mean, I didn't buy my Xbox recently. I bought it like 2 years ago so I could upgrade, but hey, it paid off pretty well. I used to use it almost daily, but now I barely even use it with a PC. I mean, the only times I ever really bother playing it now is for games like For Honor and fucking Warframe, but that's getting cross-progression soon, so yeah, I think you're kinda right. Not many people really buy it unless they have another platform. But most people aren't going out there spending money on PCs, so maybe someone in the comments can offer a different point of view.
now. It really does feel like a dead brand, and nobody wants to talk about this because this isn't what's supposed to happen. Like, what's supposed to happen is that like Nintendo is supposed to go bankrupt, and then Sony's gonna buy them, and then uh, Sony's gonna dominate the market like forever.
First of all, where did you get this? And second of all, have you not seen the current state of Xbox and Sony? They're not performing well, both of them. They're not doing that good. Nintendo's doing pretty good, but the other two, they're running into some hiccups. I don't know where the fuck you got this logic from and how you came to that conclusion, but that is stupid.
And like PC is going to be their main competition. Like, that's what people think is going to happen, but like in reality it feels like both PlayStation and Xbox, especially Xbox, are becoming increasingly relevant because nobody really sees the value in buying these pieces of hardware anymore. There's no point. Like, if you have the money, you're better off just buying a PC. And if you don't have the money, you're better off not buying a console at all.
Man forgot the reason why you actually buy consoles, because they're a cheaper alternative to getting a PC. You know, just completely forget that, yeah? Very smart, Harmon.
Right? That is a real issue here that they're having, is that like nobody wants to spend money on bullshit. All right? And that's what this all comes down to, is that the Xbox brand is bullshit. There is no value to it. There is no reason to invest in the brand. There is no reason to to buy this thing and like get into it. You're better off simply just buying your games on Steam or
I like how you try to act that Nintendo is anything compared to Steam or Valve as a whole. Like, PC is just so different to console gaming from the amount of stuff you can do. And even then, telling people to just say, oh, there's no point to get something, just get a PC or get a Nintendo Switch when a console is a good middle ground between both of them. Like, where does this logic even come from anymore? Both are good. Everything has their price and purpose to them. I don't really need to give you a reason. It's up to you to find that reason why you got that purchase in the first place. It's your money. I'm not gonna tell you how to do stuff that's fucking stupid.
buying them on Switch. Like, there is no reason to own one, right? And I can't imagine that the vast majority of the audience feels differently than me. It feels as if most people are just they feel this way, but they won't admit it.
I don't think there are many people that want to feel anything like you, Harmon. Like, I think the only people that would actually agree with you on this are PlayStation fanboys, because, you know, you have a common agreement here. But anything else? Nah, I don't even think we want to come close to you. Not even with a stick. You can keep your distance.
Right? They'll just kind of like say this thing that like, oh, I just prefer PC gaming, or I prefer playing on phones. But in reality, like, they're not playing the Xbox because it's shit. Like, it just isn't a good platform, right? And I would argue that was always true, but like these days it's like, why does this brand even exist? Like, why is it relevant? Why is it here? Like, it's just like
It's almost like people still purchase the console, Harmon. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you're not actually looking into what you're saying, you're actually thinking when you say something, you know. Maybe people still purchase Xbox because they want to be on the same ecosystem like I did. You know, it's not that fucking hard to think about, is it?
Why is it even like trying to be competitive? Like they keep talking like it is. They keep talking like they're gonna do something with Obsidian. Like Bethesda 10 years ago, they put out Skyrim, which was like what, the game of the generation for a lot of people. GTA 5 came out and like outsold it, but like for a lot of people, I think Skyrim really resonated with them because of like how basic bitch it was with like the fantasy setting and the open world and stuff like that. Like a lot of normies really love that game. Um, like they put out Starfield and it's a complete bomb, right? Like after the Microsoft acquisition. And I don't think Bethesda is ever gonna recover from this.
All Bethesda and Microsoft has to do to actually fix the problem at hand is just remove Todd Howard. He made some of those terrible decisions, like keeping loading screens in and not actually using a whole different engine. I understand the reasons why they don't want to change it, but goddamn, it would save them a lot of time if they just did something else. It would make their games a lot better. Plus, Todd Howard really does limit the narrative on how he does stuff. He's a very basic individual and doesn't like complicated things like Fallout New Vegas. See, Harmon, this is where I think you're also a bit special and don't actually look at why people find Skyrim actually being so well received in the beginning and kind of looked at kind of meh now, because, you know, it's not really much of an RPG if you actually look at its mechanics, but it's a good starting point for someone that wants to get into RPGs. And the reason why Skyrim, in my eyes, was so successful is that not many people at that time really got to play RPGs. There weren't many on console that I could think of that would actually compare to what Skyrim gave people and actually made people feel while playing Skyrim. You know, you had Oblivion, Morrowind, Dragon Age that really set the ground for what that could achieve. Because if you look at a lot of these open world games now, they are really just very similar to Skyrim, just with different coats of paint and different ways to approach things, and how they do their stuff. That's really it. But if it wasn't for Skyrim, none of this stuff would really be here. So you got that really boring vanilla version of Skyrim to thank for everything it did. So there you go.
Right? Like, Pete Hines has left. Like, a lot of high-ranking people at Bethesda have left. Like, they're just never gonna recover from like being owned by Microsoft. They have a very bad track record of maintaining their talent, of managing their talent, right? Like Starfield should 100% have been a Game of the Year nominee, and yet nothing. Like it's not gonna win any awards. It's not talked about. Nobody likes this game. Everybody agrees it's like it's a piece of trash. Why did this happen? Right? It's because of the mismanagement.
Sadly, I have to agree with Harmon. Bethesda, as well as Microsoft as a whole, seem to be doing a lot of mismanagement and putting stuff into the wrong areas. Plus, I don't really trust Bethesda to do anything smart. And the one thing that I should call out is that I have a sneaking suspicion with one of these rumors and legal battles that they had recently. I think it was in 2020. I'm not sure if that's ever been resolved. But pretty much it was a legal battle between the Rune developers and I'd know something to do with Bethesda. I still need to look into it and actually fact check it properly. But apparently this had something to do with them Bethesda going in there and going to try and buy out the developers by telling them, hey, you make your game fail, we'll bring you onto the team. And I think that's very interesting to actually look at, that they were trying to snuff out stuff that may be competition eventually, even though they're a much smaller company. It's a pretty fucking scummy thing to do, and I thought it was just something interesting that I'll bring up, as I've known about it for a long time, but I'm gonna properly fact check it before I ever properly talk about it in any form of light like this. I just thought I'd mention it, as it's something that's very interesting, but please do not take it as definitive proof for anything, because I have not done the proper research in some time. But at the time when actually looking at it, it seemed very convincing that this may be something done to actually help the development of Starfield, or at the exchange of wiping out a project that looks like it did have a bit of a following, but ended up getting canned because, you know, Bethesda is a bunch of dogs. But pretty much, don't take it as truth until I've actually either done the research and made a video properly, or you do the research yourself and do something, so I don't get shit for it. So, you know, just thought I'd say that, but I know it's not related to the conversation at hand, but I thought it was just something that should be brought up as mismanagement. But I know some guys can say, hey, that doesn't sound like Bethesda, they would never do no wrong. They've done pretty scummy things in the past, like with Fallout New Vegas and the deal behind that, it was pretty scummy. They wanted, Obsidian to get like an 85 on Metacritic score, and they got like an 84, and they were refusing to give them revenue. Which, yeah, there's a contract in place for that, but like, goddamn, I think they could have worked out something. But yeah, they were pretty stuck up on stuff like that, and they have done pretty scummy things in the past, so it's not out of character for Bethesda to do this. But like I said, take everything as bullshit until I've actually confirmed it and given you proper proof.
Xbox. It's because of the failures to innovate. It's because of the failures to do anything new or exciting or like
I mean, I was going to say Game Pass was new and exciting, but, there's been other companies that have made subscription services, but I don't think any of them have ever really done it like how Microsoft did, by giving them a whole wide range of publishers, also including other subscription services in that as well. I would say they're the first to do that, and they're probably the best at it, because who else has got the money to do it? So, that's probably the only thing I could really give them credit on. I don't really know anything else.
To evolve, right? It's the same thing over and over and over again. Oh, if we just release Call of Duty every year, people will keep buying, but that's not how it works, right? People want something new.
I think you really underestimate Call of Duty fans. Even with this newest one, it may have sold a lot less than the other ones, but I can guarantee a lot of them are probably still going to find a way to get it cheaper or buy it. Because that's just how Call of Duty fans work. They're the embodiment of insanity. They buy the same game every year, expecting something to be different. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of Harmon's video. It goes on for a little bit longer and just says the exact same shit over and over again, like every other video we've covered on him. So, I don't know. Leave a like, subscribe, goodbye, see you next video.